Hello there, my name is Giovanni Romeo Madrid, and I'm doing a presentation in a TED Talk about technology. And so instead of using three different sources, I'm using three different perspectives, not including my own, at least. So I'm doing three different generations. I'm doing a generation from about 70 years ago, a generation from about 40 years ago, and a generation about, I want to say, 17 years ago exactly. So a little commercial break. I am sponsoring a 35-inch outdoor globe. You can get this at Hobby Lobby or Home Depot, but it's really awesome. The first generation I'm going to be talking about today is Generation Baby Boomer. And so I actually got on the phone with and interviewed my 73-year-old grandpa. He was born in 1947, and let's get started. What is technology like in your perspective? In his own words, he said, it's the discovery of making life easier and better. And what he meant by that is back in his day, he didn't really have technology. All he really had was a portable radio, but he would go outside when the sun would arose and go back inside when sun would fall. He was kind of more in that outside. He would ride his bike 10 miles just to go to his friend's house. Question number two I asked him, what was technology like in your childhood? He said technology was like we didn't have any of these portable cell phones or any of that. All we had was a little one of those old school telephones that you see in the movies, you can say. But there was a party line, and what that means is, so if you had a neighbor on your whole block, you would be sharing the same line. So you can just go on the phone and try and call someone, and you can see someone's having a conversation. And it was actually illegal if you listen to them interstate call. But he said it was kind of peaceful. Like, yes, you were able to still communicate with your family, but you really got to live that experience as a kid and not really have to worry about any of this technology or any of that. List 5 ways technology has impacted our world today. 1. This is also from my grandpa's words and his point of view. It is easier to diagnose and treat illnesses. And so, just for an example, think of this coronavirus. We have the technology to actually know what we're sick with. We actually know what's the illness going around worldwide. And so we've had the technology to be able to diagnose out. We have this illness called coronavirus, but we're still using the technology we have today to kind of come up with a cure. And it's really sad that we don't have a cure yet, but it's at least we're getting there. And they say in a couple months we should have a cure. Sorry to jump off topic, but kids would rather be on their phones than go outside, and that's really true. Kids nowadays they would rather go on their phones, play on the Xbox, PS4s, the Switch, maybe computer. They'd rather be inside and be on their technology, play games, talk to their friends, than rather go outside and talk to their friends in physical form. They would rather, hey, I'm gonna pick up the phone and call you up. It's easier for criminals to commit a crime. So it's easier to plot a scheme or whatnot. Say you can go call one of your friends and you can be like, hey, let's go do this and this. So I agree with him. It is easier for criminals to commit a crime. We have made it to space. We've made it to space quite a few times. I'm pretty sure it was in 1967 or 1969 that Neil Armstrong and the other people, they've made it to the moon. And so you have to think how crazy that is. Just back, I want to say 40, 50 years ago, they've actually made it to space. They were able to go get in a spaceship and fly to outer space and land on the moon and successfully come back safely. And you have to think that was about 50 years ago. And you have to think now we have a robot on Mars rover. We have a robot on Mars, and it's actually called the Mars rover. And so I have to think that's pretty cool. We've actually made it to a planet. It's also it's expanded our knowledge. We've actually have been able to create more advanced cars. So back 50 years ago, you would have little Cadillacs, and then 40 years ago, 30 years ago, you'd have Pontiacs. And now we have Lamborghinis, we have Ferraris, we have Corvettes, we have all these advanced technology that have seat warmers, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. And you have to really think it has to take some brains to be able to do that. Now let's kind of turn it around. Now back, I want to say 17 years ago, I interviewed my sister Alina, and we're known as Generation Z. She was born in 2002, and she's my sister. Alright. What is technology in your perspective? An easier way to find information, but also a distraction from our everyday lives. So, what she's trying to say by that is, so now we don't have to go to a library and we don't have to go research stuff. We don't have to go through all this hard work labor just to get information. We now have our own little computers in our own pocket. We have cell phones, and we have wireless headphones and all that, and etc. So we have more we have we have easier ways to get information that we need for project, homework, and assignment, etc. But it also is a distraction from our everyday lives. We just technology in general has just it's so amazing, but it's so awful in so many ways. It's a distraction by just take it. Alright, I'm in a school, okay? This is just an example. I'm in a school, and we're supposed to be studying for our our final of the year. And we have a C or a D. And if we ace this final, we can end up with an A or a B. But if we fail this assignment, we end up with an F. And instead of most people taking the time and actually doing the work and studying, they're more likely on their phones. And they're like, you know what, I'm just gonna ace it. I like the confidence they have, but they should be taking notes or whatnot. But they're too busy listening to their phones, listening to music, being on the phones, texting their friends when they could be getting ready for the future life. Being an adult. What was it like in your childhood, Miss Alina? Okay, she said, during my childhood, there wasn't really that much technology. Yes, we had Game Boys, yes, we had computers, yes, we had DSs, 3DSs, etc. But me and her, we were more personally like, we would rather go outside and go play with the neighbors and go have a war battle across the neighborhood. We would have these big old Nerf guns, and we would just be kids. We would just have these little Nerf bullets and just go shoot them. That was my childhood and her childhood growing up. But occasionally, when it was snowing outside and we couldn't go outside, we did have a DS and we did have a Game Boy, just to keep us distracted. List 5 ways technology has impacted our world today. People are less present, and I understand that. People, they'd rather pick up the phone, they'd rather go text them, and then go meet with them face to face and go talk to them as civil human beings. Information is more accessible, and what she means by that is, like what I said, you don't have to go to a library to do research. You can just go on our phones, go on the internet. Technology has allowed advance in the medical field, and what she means by that, so you just take it back 50 years ago. If someone had cancer, breast cancer, lung cancer, they're most likely gonna die. And I hate to say this, and I hate to bring up this dark side, but it's true. My grandpa said it was okay if I use this, but he had a sister. She was 17 years old, and she had breast cancer, and she died at a young age because they didn't have the technology to treat her. But he said if we had the technology we have today back then, she probably would have been alive still to this day. Technology has made it easier for predators. And what she means by that is someone can just go download an app. You can download Facebook, Snapchat, Messenger, Twitter, Tumblr, or whatnot. They can just go look up on the internet cute, hot pictures of a boy, hot pictures of a female. And so I believe her. It's easier for predators to act like someone that they're not. Technology is starting an evolution in the human neck and spine. And what she means by that is back in, I want to say, the Greeks' times, there was people who they kind of had a slouch and a curve to the neck to where they'd be like this. Alright, so I'm going to just turn myself in a different angle real quick so you guys can see what I mean. So, say this was my phone and I was just texting away. Another commercial break. You guys should really try this out. So, back to what I was saying. So, say this was my phone. I'm going to be texting away like this and I'm just standing up just out of the nowhere, just, hello, yes, yeah, hi, how's the day going? And you see how my neck is turned, and that's the spine too. So in a way, we're kind of going back. We're kind of evolving, and we're evolving backwards, and we're not going forward. So we really need to learn how to kind of adapt with. Yes, we have our phones and all that, but we have to still remain in good posture. All right. The next generation I'm going to be telling you guys about is Generation X0. And this was around the 1980s, 1990s. My dad, who was born in 1982. And so let's get started. I interviewed him today as well. What is technology like in your perspective? Technology is an advancement in science and society. And what he means by that is just science itself has really came a long way. It's just 20 years ago. And in a society as well too. We have computers, we have FaceTime, we have Messenger, we have all these different things we didn't have 20 years ago. Even the cell phones they had back 20 years ago was these big, you can say brick phones, and you have a big antenna. What was technology like in your childhood? It was less advanced at the beginning of the computer age. And what he means by that is technology wasn't really big back then. They had computers, but they were some of the old time computers, the big box computers, not these flat screen computers we have today. And just like I was explaining, the big box phones with the big antenna. There's 5 ways technology has impacted our world today. There's better medicines, and I agree with that. There is better medicines and better ways to cope with illnesses. There's more accurate, and what he means by that is we don't have to really guess. We can really use that technology we have today and just be more accurate. We would be more precise. Social connections, and so if we have someone across the world who lives up in Italy and we live down here in the United States, or just even someone across the states, say if someone lives in Florida and someone lives in California, we still have a way to keep in touch. We can hop on the Xbox together and play some games together. We can go on FaceTime. We can just text each other. We still have a way to stay in touch. Back in the day, they didn't really have that at all. And we were able to travel further in space. Like I was saying, we have a robot on Mars. And he was also saying there's also way less human contact than there was just 20 years ago. Alright, so I'm going to be taking it back to Generation Z, the early 2000s. And I was born, I was kind of interviewing myself. I was born in 2002, 2004, and I'm a part of Generation Z. Let's go. What is technology like in your perspective? Technology is a new life, a way for a person to be who you really want to be. And so what I personally mean by that is technology, yes, there's some negatives, but there's also a lot of positives in it too. So in my opinion, I feel like technology, like, it. I'm sorry, I don't know how to explain this. One second. Technology is a way for us to be our own person, to kind of truly be ourselves. We can be the person who we want to be. We can be a funny, caring, loving person. Or we can be someone the complete opposite of that. What was technology like in your childhood? And so I'm talking about when I was anywhere from 5 to 10, 5 to 12. Technology wasn't so important, nor was it advanced with the stuff we have today, like iPhones. We did not have iPhones. We still had little flip phones, and we can communicate through them. There's 5 ways technology has impacted our world today. It makes people more brave. Say you take uh, I'm not gonna say nerd, but a really smart kid, and they don't really have social. They don't really. They're not really social. They're not. They just might be the way they look, or it may be how they really think about themselves. It makes a person more brave in general. People are more inclined to, if they're kind of shy, they can ask a girl out over the phone, and yes, it is kind of sad, but it's just how it is today. Another commercial break. Hampton Bay. That's the product. I also like this couch right here and that pillow. Okay. Alright, let's get this done. It's easier to communicate. Back in the day, if someone was living, if say you had an old friend from school and they moved, you were able, nowadays you're able to exchange phone numbers and you can stay on the phone. Like, I have a friend, his name's Marquise, and I've known him since I was in kindergarten all the way to 4th grade, and then I moved to a different school, but we exchanged phone numbers, and we still keep in touch to this day. And now it's also easier to think out of the box, and what I mean by that is now we can kind of really research, and it kind of gives us that accessibility to think outside of the box. We can say just say take a contractor. We he can, if he has to build a house, make blueprints. Yeah, he doesn't always have to do it by paper now. He can also use certain apps, certain high advanced technology to make sure his math and his calculations and his angles and all that is right. But it can also make us more mean technology. It can also make us more selfish. It can also make us feel greedy. Say you you're in a school, and these people, they're rich and they have all this advanced technology. They can have a VCR, the new iPhones, and then you have kids like the underclass and they have little flip phones, and it kind of makes the people feel like they're more above the world because they have all this money and they have all this advanced technology. And so in a way it makes us more mean. It makes us more feel more cocky and ignorant. But it can also kind of like give us a fire. Like, it can also like give us like a motivation, if that makes sense. Say you want to work out because it's about summertime, and you can say, "Oh, I want a summer body." On certain phones, or you can even get apps to where you have your own instructor, to where he stays there with you and he gives you workouts to do, and there's times and all that. And so it gives you a motivation to do what your passion really wants to do. And so that is my TED Talk about technology, and I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. And until next time, Jill Bonnie Madrid is out.